Here, so recording. Hey, my name's Phil the Cruz. Welcome to Cruising with Phil. Today's episode, I got a special guest, a bike entrepreneur, not only an entrepreneur, but also a fixer of bikes. Hey, Matteo, how you doing?
Hey, yeah, good to be here.
Good thing. So introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah, um, so my name is Matteo. I started the mobile bike repair service in Toronto just about 9, 10 years ago. Um, just been pedal powered um, for the majority of the time um, until just a couple of years ago. Our team has grown to now fluctuating like 3 or 5 guys, and we have 2 guys out of cars that service Markham, Scarborough, Brampton, Vaughan, um, and like Oakville as far west as we go. But the majority of the business has been um, people on cargo bikes or electrified bikes servicing the downtown, Kipling to the beaches and Lakeshore to the York Mills has been our standard range, doing home service bike repair, as well as defensive cycling workshops, electrifying bicycles for people, teaching bicycle mechanic workshops as well. Um, but yeah, the main thing we're really trying to push these days is more of the defensive cycling workshops, as we see a big need for that. But the bread and butter is fixing people's bikes at home or SOS service, tune-ups at home. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So I'm just curious, what motivated you to get into helping people out, just fixing bikes and all, besides being a biker? Like, what got you interested in going that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I came back to the city when I was 23 from living out of my bike, cycling around North and Central America for several years. And I just knew how to fix bikes. I knew how to carry a lot of weight on a bike pretty efficiently. And I was addicted to a certain level of cardio. And so it just made sense. You just make your own hours. I mean, I love creating efficiencies. And I mean, I love obviously creating efficiencies as far as my own income stream and earning more. I mean, we earn approximately 4 times more than the average bicycle mechanic makes, while being able to make our own schedule,
Nice.
while feeling good because we get to provide more economical service, more convenient at home service, and more educative service. Aside from like I mentioned, that I'm trying to push the defensive cycling workshops. Every visit to a customer's house, we include how to safety check a bike post crash, how to properly fit a helmet, which the majority of cyclists in the city don't know how to properly fit a helmet, which we can go over at some point if you'd like to.
Wow.
And so we teach a lot more than like any other interaction at a bike shop typically provides. That we always offer a little 5 minute tutorial of maintenance and DIY tuning, like how to tighten your brakes with the turn of a knob of your barrel adjusters, and how to adjust your seat position forward and back, the angle up and down, and all these little things that are very simple. They can help make the bike feel a lot better, but most people aren't familiar with or ever shown.
Wish I knew you were around last week. I was last Monday. I was biking, and my chain busted. I was stranded there, and I'm walking an hour and a half back home. There's no bike shops in the area. There used to be one on Lawrence, so, pharmacy in Lawrence, but they shut that down now. It's gone to a condo. But so you get that extra little touch. You find it surprising that when you're helping people and educating people, like a lot of people, like not saying a lot, but sometimes they don't know the basics, just like tuning their bike, like you said, like tightening this and that and brakes and all that. Simple little tips that make your bike last longer.
Sorry, I missed the question part of that.
Just you find it surprising when you're educating people about basic tune-ups that some people really don't know about the basics of bike repair, just maintenance, just simple things that can
Oh
help them out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like there's some visits where people just don't know about the pressure of how much. I mean, a lot of people actually don't know that the pressure rating of the bicycle tire is written on the rubber of the side of the tire, or
Okay.
know that the tire deflates by itself every 2 to 3 weeks, and or how to like correctly operate a bike pump is sometimes a thing. So yeah, there's a. I mean, the people that aren't commuters, that ride their bike once a year with their family or a few times a year leisurely with their family. Yeah, which so it is nice to kind of bring that general knowledge base higher with our visit
That's
there to
nice.
orient them a little more. Yeah.
Cool. So all your prices are on your website, right? Everything's listed on your web.
Yeah. It's $60 an hour is the residential fee. It's all listed in the appointment form. There's a breakdown per bike. Um, so I mean, the hourly rate is
Line.
much more economical than most bike shops. A lot of bike shops are like maybe 80 is the lowest an hour for a bike shop. And it's typically 100 to 150 an hour at a bike shop. And then, I mean, for one bike, our average tune-up visit is about $85, which is similar to a tune-up at a shop. But then the efficiency comes with more bikes. You know, if it's 2 bikes, then it's typically $100 for a visit. If it's 3 bikes, it's typically 130. 4, typically 150. So that's where the efficiency really comes in, because you're always paying the 20, $40 travel fee for us to show up. So if it's one bike, I mean, it's great for it to be the same price as a bike shop, and then you get the added bonus of us coming to you and teaching you some more. But when you have more bikes, then the economics really works out in the favor of the cyclist and the customer. Yeah.
Cool. I was gonna ask you, what do you think? What's the most you see when you go for bike repairs? What's the most common thing people with their bikes? Like something that's easy to fix yourself, but they don't realize what they're doing. You know, when they call you, it's something. The most common thing, like, is the bike tires, and most the common cause for calling you, whatever, or just brakes or whatever, or what?
Yeah, I mean, most people are just not happy with their brakes and gears. I mean, it's the common, like, doing a tune-up most of the time means that we're going to tighten brakes and bring the gears to a more efficient working level, and then just topping up the tires. But there's always the safety check included and everything else. But yeah, the majority of it is that, maybe replacing rusted brake or gear cables and pads is the bulk of it. And then of course, if there's flat tires. But yeah, mostly just brakes and gears, which there's not much more to a bicycle in a lot of cases. But yeah.
Saw your video there about basic tune-ups for your bike, or just the other day. It was kind of neat. Are you gonna do more videos yourself for that?
Yeah, I'd like to be doing more videos. I've never really been so inclined to doing the media content so much. Like, I'm trying to with Instagram more. Um, but yeah, I'd like to do for the safety tips, like, especially since I'm trying to push more of the defensive cycling workshops. I'd like to pump out more videos, just like giving quick little blurbs of, like, it's a windy riding day. Here's a little tip, like, on windy riding days, take up more space, because the wind could potentially blow you into places where you don't want to be. So, take the center lane more. Or wet riding days, like, don't ride over sewer grates, because especially if it's a flat surface sewer grate, not the textured ones, you can slip pretty quick. And just like little quick tips like that, and be in the habit of putting out those little safety blurbs to impress upon people the wealth of knowledge that I have for teaching defensive cycling workshops. Yeah, I'd love to do little videos like that more.
Big things I don't even think about, like what you just said, like grades and all that. Just simple. I like your that videos. I liked it. Yeah. Yeah. Have you guys thought about doing your own like video channel, like I do your like for like your company for the videos and all?
No, I don't think I'm that inclined to being on a computer behind a camera to really do like a channel or anything like that. Like, I do live video chat assistance, where if people want to DIY, learn how to tune their own bike for $1 a minute, I can save a lot of people a lot of money just by, adjusting your brakes. It's just counterclockwise turning a little
Okay,
adjuster.
that's cool. Yeah, I
A lot
like
of
that.
things are really simple. So, like, if I'm behind a screen, I'd like to be doing it in that sense, where I'm like at least earning $1 a minute and teaching someone to do something really quick. But otherwise, no, I don't think I'd really take a lot of time, unless I'm just, sharing what I think to be really useful
They like doing
information
it.
once in a while.
Oh, cool. So you like doing live, like one-on-one. I like that. That's a good idea. So you asked you, you said earlier, you've been around, you bike around all South America, you said?
Yeah, I cycled from Toronto to Miami when I was 19, and
Oh, wow.
then I did it a second time.
Did you do
I wanted to volunteer.
any like little short videos about that? Like any like a log or whatever, or a blog for that?
No, like I said, I'm not really the type. I didn't even
Yeah.
bring a camera when I
It's
cycled
like
Toronto
me,
to
yeah.
Miami. Yeah, I mean, I brought a camera the second time I
Yeah.
cycled to Miami, but I didn't really take many photos. I got a GoPro. It was like 4 years of cycling, and on like the third and fourth year, I got a little GoPro that I lost all the footage to anyway. But if you look on the adventure touring tab on my website,
Yeah.
there is some photos that, like, mostly other people took and shared with me. And there's some videos from a YouTube channel that I made when I was cycling around Mexico and Guatemala, as far south as I got. Um, so yeah, I did like try to get in the habit of recording a bit, but it would never really occur to me as much as I wish it did.
Oh, wow. That's like when I was in the, I biked all over the world, like in the military, like but I never took any videos or any, like, it didn't interest me, like you said, videos and pictures and all that. But now, like back then, I think about it, like maybe I should have, even like my trip to Montreal, I don't take any. I take a like I just keep a journal, but that's it. But I should do more like because that's like the social media thing about recording and watching your visualization and all that. So it's cool, cool. So I was gonna ask you, are you based in Toronto, Matteo?
Yeah, yep. I live personally in Toronto. I mean, I might be moving to Kitchener this winter, early next year, but then I'll still be coming into the city 3 days a week on the GO train and like doing my mobile bike repair in the city 3 days a week. And then I might start advertising to do the same out in Kitchener, but I'll still be administrating the team of what is right now uh, 4 guys that will be doing Toronto full time as mobile mechanics.
Oh, cool. I was gonna ask you about electric bikes. I don't know anything about electric bikes. I haven't bought one, but since you got more experience, can you tell us what's the most common things people make mistakes about electric bikes besides purchasing? What would you say was the most obvious that people
What's
don't realize?
what's the most common things? Sorry, problems, common
Yeah, with the
problems.
electric bikes that people don't realize, like for fixing wise or just maintenance.
Right. Right. Yeah. So to preface, yeah, I do have a lot of experience with electric bikes. I'm one of the only companies in the city that does conversion kits, installs conversion kits on bikes. If you don't want to just go and buy an e-bike, but for whatever reason, if you don't have
Lost you there. Your picture froze here. Oh,
the space, or you have story, somebody is calling me right now. There we go. Then yeah, there's kits that can fit all sorts of bike. Like it just electrified a hand cycle for a paraplegic guy.
okay.
Anything can be electrified. Um, so I'd say the thing that I really want to get across to whether you're riding a kit or you're riding a turnkey e-bike that you purchase from a store that doesn't get communicated often from the stores is that the lithium, whether it's the lithium in your cell phone or the lithium in your e-bike, does not want to be charged cold. If you're riding in 0 Celsius or less, and then you get home, you want to let your lithium battery warm up for an hour before you charge it, because otherwise you can permanently atrophy and damage some of the cells of your battery. And that's the most expensive part. I mean, the battery is typically $700 to $1,000 of the cost of an e-bike. So you always want to let it warm up. And same, not as important, but same on a hot day. If the lithium of the battery is really hot, you should let it cool down a little bit before you charge it.
Oh, cool. Wow. Didn't know that. Amazing. So, if I was going to purchase an electric bike, what would you recommend for brand wise or economy wise?
I've got a lot of good experience working with Rad Power bikes. They're out of Vancouver. They've just got so many different options for carrying capacity. Yeah, I really like Rad Power for a good, pretty economical bike. I mean, there's the two Epic Cycles locations in Toronto that sell the Magnum e-bikes of the United States. They're good as well, and they're I think a bit more economical than the Rad Power bikes. I've worked personally and know the owner of Epic Cycles, and um, that I helped them set up when they were just beginning their first location up north of the city, and those seem like pretty good bikes, and they've gotten a lot better um, with how much variety they're providing as well. So
Cool.
you have Epic Cycles. There's Amigo, of course. Um, I worked at Amigo one winter as well, and those bikes are also pretty economical. They don't have as much variety and options and carrying capacity like the Rad Power really trying to specialize in and highlight, but they're economical bikes that, I mean, sometimes the wheels aren't always, they did have some problems with the wheels not being put together properly, but you could always get a hand-built wheel around a motor, and that a hand-built wheel over a machine-built wheel is always going to be better anyway. Yeah, I'd say those. And then for the kit companies, if you wanted to convert your bike, the best company for North America for conversion kits is who I'm the dealer for in Toronto, is Grin Technologies or ebikes.ca. They're just the greatest bunch of electrical engineer folk that are in the space of conversion kits. They also run the North American forum Endless Sphere, which the Endless Sphere forum talks on all sorts of electric vehicles of all shapes and sizes. But yeah, Grin Technologies in Vancouver, and then locally in Ontario we have Golden Motors, and Golden Motors is one of the oldest conversion kit companies in Ontario in Canada. and they've been around for a long time. They just changed ownership, but they've got more economic kits than Grin. But Grin does a lot of great custom stuff. You can fly their batteries. They've got custom batteries that are legally allowed to go on an airplane.
Oh,
They
wow.
do all sorts of super custom stuff that most e-bikes can't do, but they've made some special items that can do a lot more.
Oh, just kind of curious. What's on a charge of a battery for like for a bike? How long can you go on a bike with that? For what
So
distance?
the typical e-bike that people are buying is coming with like a 14 or a 16 amp hour battery.
Hmm.
Um, for example, like my 16 amp hour batteries, if I'm not loaded with my 300-pound bike trailer that I don't know if you shared any of those photos, but if
I
I'm
saw, yeah,
not
I
loaded
got
with
them on
that
the
big
thing.
trailer,
Yeah.
and I'm just riding a normal e-bike with saddlebags, I made it to Algonquin in a day. Like I can do
Oh, yeah.
100
Wow.
kilometers per battery, and then I bring 3 batteries, so I get 300 kilometers out of like a 10-hour riding day. So yeah, one 16 amp hour battery can give you, depending on the wind and the resistance and the weight you're carrying in the hills, like I'd say 70 to 100 kilometers of distance on one 16 amp hour. Like that's about a $700 $800 battery. Um, and then you've got like really little conversion kit companies like Switch from UK that a lot of people are installing Switch kits right now. And that's just like the batteries, not a 20-pound 16 amp hour thing. It's like the size of a woman's purse. It mounts on a handlebar VAG kind of mount on the handlebars, and it's very slick. It's maybe, instead of $1,500 to $2,000 for a kit, it's maybe $800 for a kit, and just 20 kilometers of assist. But it's a very simple, lightweight kit for people who don't want a big, heavy e-bike and they really just want a little help on hills.
So you take extra batteries on your trip. That's good. How long does it take to charge one of those batteries?
How long does it take to charge a battery typically?
Yeah. Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, so one of those 16 amp hour batteries with a 4 amp charger would be just like a couple hours. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Good. This is great. So I was watching some of your pictures there on your website there. I like some of your services and all. I like some of your mottos there. I like your logo and all that stuff. So do you have any do you have like a long-term goal besides expanding your company? Do you want to do like franchises later on in the future or just
Well, yeah, I don't think I would ever franchise it. Really, the thing I'm most jazzed about is like creating a norm or a culture of taking safe or defensive cycling workshops in Toronto, just because most people too nonchalantly get into riding a bike, which, of course, we have all this required mentorship and education for a vehicle like a car that has an airbag and a ton of metal to protect you. But unfortunately, we have no, like, to me, it makes more sense. You should have more required education and mentorship for a vehicle that has none of those safety features like a
yeah.
bicycle, that you're much more likely, of course, to like break a bone or die if you're in a collision with obviously the vehicles you're sharing the road with being much larger and faster than yourself. So yeah, that's the main thing for like teenagers, 20-something-year-olds, or just anyone who's new to cycling in Toronto. I want to make it a normal thing that you go on an hour and a half ride with someone like me. Because so far, like there's TDSB gives maybe a course a year, Can Bike, who I've done the instructor course with, which is like the national cycling safety kind of curriculum that we have. They give courses in Toronto, but it's maybe 1 or 3 a year, and they haven't done it since COVID. And they're like typically a full day, like 8 hour, several $100 workshop. So I really want to make it more accessible, and that's why I'm providing, flexibly booked hour and a half. Like I said, or I think I said it's $60 an hour if it's one person doing a safety course, up to $160 an hour if it's 6 people, and then it comes down to $24 an hour if 6 people are doing it. So it gets cheaper the more participants are involved. So I really want to make it efficient and economical and easy to book for people to just like take a quick hour and a half. I'll do the ride to work or school with them and really show them the ropes, which like to leave as a, the one thing that I would leave as a safety tip would be most cyclists get themselves hurt because they're taking up too little space and they're squeezing themselves into awkward positions on the road and then getting squeezed rather than riding big and getting treated big and taking up more space. Always being a full meter from a parked car. It's always going to be more likely for a car behind you to see you through their windshield than for somebody to see you in a side view mirror, if they even looked in their side view mirror before they open their car door and push you into oncoming traffic. So being that full meter from a parked car, being a full meter from the curb where the most sand, debris, glass, and detritus accumulates on the side of the road that you might have to last minute avoid, and turn your handlebars left real quick and then, be in someone's way. So always being a full meter from everything to your right. And then, things like the items that I sell. I don't know if you saw the special parts that I sell on my website, but I'm one of two Canadian distributors for what is the best rear view helmet mirror. It's just Urbane and I in Canada that sell this really great rear view helmet mirror. It's just the biggest, most flexibly, but like it's the only mirror that doesn't get loose over time and move, as a lot of the designs unfortunately do. So there's the rear view helmet mirrors. There's the Toronto invented 120 decibel bicycle pump refillable air horn. It's just a button on your handlebars. Mech and I are the only, or Mech and Urbane and I are the only distributors of that air horn, the Air Sound, and that's another life-saving tool. So some good strategy and some good gear like that. Cycling really can be, like I ride 50 kilometers a day, 3 to 5 days a week for the past 10 years in Toronto. And, the only accidents I've ever had were my own fault because I wiped myself out doing something silly. So yeah, it can be very safe.
Are these all on your all these are on your website? All these items you're talking about?
Yeah, in the special gear tab, there's both of those items. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a question earlier, but you said a lot of people don't know how to put on helmets properly. Can you just go back on talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the most important things. So firstly, when you put the helmet on your head, that buckle on the back of the helmet wants to be so loose that it allows the helmet to come as far down over the forehead as possible. Typically, CAN bike will say the 2V1 rule, and the 2 refers to 2 fingers between the eyebrows and the bottom front lip of the helmet, but really as far down over the forehead as possible, in case you fall face first, that you're protecting your forehead and thus your memory and that part of your brain, of course, an important part. So you loosen that buckle on the back till it fits all the way down. Then you tighten it so much so that it doesn't wiggle. The helmet doesn't wiggle free if you're wiggling, that it bites the head if you were to give a gentle shake. And then the strap tightness, those buckles want to come up, touch underneath the earlobe, either side of the helmet, as those buckles, if tucked underneath each ear, are designed to grab the ear to prevent the helmet sliding side to side. And then the 1 finger of space between the chin strap and chin. And then the most important part that people don't know is you're actually supposed to sew your buckles in place. The failure point of bicycle helmets is the fact that most of those buckles are garbage and they move in and of themselves and they're constantly needing readjustment to stay in those places, especially if the buckles under the ear don't have a clasp. A lot of them are just these loose little loops. And even the ones with a clasp will move sometimes, and especially the one under the chin. But yeah, so you fit it and then you sew a stitch across all 3 of those buckles to ensure they stay in place. And then if you wear a hat under your helmet in the winter, you just have a different helmet that's fit to a different space to compensate for the hat. And then you have a summer helmet as best practice.
Wow. You know all that stuff. Sorry, I didn't know all that stuff. That's nice to know. That's good to know. Wow.
For sure. And then the 2 companies that are fighting for the best anti-concussion technology and bicycle helmets are MIPS, which is a thin sheet of plastic on the inside of a helmet that's supposed to help rotate with the impact, and WaveCell. WaveCell is an added inch of corrugated plastic underneath the foam that is 1 more layer of collapsible material before your skull. So MIPS and WaveCell are supposedly the best. Outside of, if you wanted to get a full motorcycle helmet with protection around the jaw, which if you're on an e-bike, depending on how fast your e-bike is, like it might be a good idea. But yeah, MIPS and WaveCell.
Cool. Wow. So what do you recommend what companies do you recommend for the best for helmets to buy, for economic-wise, for economy-wise?
What helmets would I recommend? Yeah, I mean, I use a WaveCell helmet because I like the idea of the added material. You get those, Trek is the manufacturer, Bontrager. So any Trek shop, you can get a WaveCell helmet. You can get it online, of course, from Amazon or whatever. And then the MIPS helmets. The MIPS helmets are sold at any bike shop in the city, typically.
That's cool.
But yeah.
I was going to ask you, I know in Ontario, it's not mandatory to wear bike helmets like other provinces. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would think it should be. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, mandating anything on anybody can be. I mean, I guess it is nice. Yeah, of course. Where do we find the line of leaving people up to their free will? I like that it's mandatory up until 16. I would like the bike share program in Toronto to like they do in Vancouver. They leave a helmet with every bike share bike, so it's there and it's recommended. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't really be in favor of them mandating helmet use. I'm feeling more and more in favor if they mandated licensing of anybody riding an electric bicycle. And I say that mostly because of the propensity of young 20-something-year-old male Uber e-bike riders, who are making the city dangerous because a lot of them have come from a different driving culture, from countries where everybody is a bit more aware because they know traffic is a wild thing. And so they're riding their e-bikes in the city like that. But
Cool. Oh, your picture froze. Can you hear me now?
drive our vehicles like that, we follow the rules a bit more. We're not as aware and like head on a swivel like they might be in India or Africa, because that's what you have to be that aware in Latin America. So yeah, there's a lot of young males that are often like, bigger risk takers. As a male myself, I have that experience when I was in my 20s. And they're sharing these e-bikes. It's like 3 guys sharing one e-bike.
Oh, really? Wow.
They're often the case because they can't afford it on their own. So they're sharing the cost amongst their friends. And then nobody's really taking accountability on making sure the brakes are tight or whatever. So they're like riding fast, flying around the city for work with like a totally different understanding of how to move through traffic, which is more dangerous than what we're used to. And a lot of them are like wearing the brake pads down to nothing. So I would think that licensing of e-bikes could be beneficial, because I see way too many guys that are telling off in the street.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I was gonna ask you, when you're biking around, you see people with not properly wearing their helmet, did you actually go up to them and say something, or do you just like let it slide, or what?
Sometimes I'll mention something to people, especially if they look, particularly young and less experienced than myself. And always if I see like a parent where they've made their kid wear a helmet and they've got the kid on the back and they're not wearing a helmet, and typically they always say like, hey,
I just lost your.
to teach them how to wear it by
Oh,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. Wow, it's amazing. Yeah, that's stuff I was gonna say. Oh, I need to ask you, are you in your website? Do you have like bike workshops set up for like tune-ups or whatever, or it's just on call?
Workshops that teach people how to tune up. Sorry, what was that?
Yeah. Do you have workshops set up like throughout the year, like for seasons, like say your spring tune-up, whatever, at this location, or whatever?
Oh, for me to be at specific locations.
Yeah. You have like a
Yeah, no,
schedule? You have like a schedule, or you just
no, there's no schedule available. You just fill the appointment form, and then I just email you an appointment, and then we book a time together. It's basically how it goes.
okay, cool.
Whether it's a mechanics workshop or a safety workshop or a repair or a tune-up.
Okay. Is your company's all around? It's all season, right? Your whole company? It's all through the year?
Sorry, what was that?
I'm sorry, is your company seasonal? Is it open all through the year?
Yeah, I mean, we are mostly in the warm season. I'll help people in the wintertime, but it's really dependent if they have like indoor working space. This winter, I might try and just use a friend's garage a little bit, but typically I'm taking the winters off. Typically, I'm just working spring till fall.
Okay.
And then, I'll help somebody if they ask and if they have more working space. But I think I'm going to start working in the winters more. So yeah, I mean, people can still fill the form this winter. I might just not be doing home service or heated space or garage, and just be like having people come to a garage instead. But yeah, typically in the past 10 years of its operation, it's just been spring till fall. Yeah.
Cool. I was gonna ask you, what do you think of our bike extensions and our complete projects here growing in Toronto? What do you think of it right now? I mean, it's getting better before than 10 years ago.
Yeah. Since COVID, there's definitely been a positive increase in bike lanes. It's yeah, that people will hopefully riding because of them. Yeah, especially with the mobile little curbs.
Yeah.
The curbs they put on the road above and beyond just the pylons.
Yeah.
The flexi pylons. Yeah.
You know what really bothers me about they put the bike lanes in? The roads are not they're not even paved, like they're not paved, there's still potholes, little dicks like you're talking about earlier. even though they put a new bike lane on there, I think myself they should pave it. Like they just not just put a bike lane like a lane or a picture. You should actually pave the area. I mean, some they're doing right now, but like it's like on Danforth or like Broadview. I was on the other day. Like you got to watch yourself with your bike. There's little nicks and knacks like you're talking about earlier. You got to watch. Even though it's a bike path, you got to watch where you're biking. You could hit a bump
Yeah,
or a pothole or whatever.
yeah. The Toronto roads are barely good enough for cars, let alone bikes. Especially when I'm carrying that 300-pound trailer that has no suspension.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
feel it a lot more. I've got big 20 by 3 inch tires on that trailer.
yeah.
It's like the best I could do for suspension, set to 40 psi. But yeah, no, yeah, it's a little frustrating sometimes. Yeah.
So, did you make that yourself? Your trailer? Did you design it yourself?
Yeah, so there's a great company in Guelph called Wyke, and they sell some really wonderful custom bikes for cargo bikes, as well as they'll sell pre-made trailers. But they'll sell that kit, and that's a DIY kit you can get for between 600 and $1,000 that has inertia braking like a car trailer. So
Mhm.
the hitch that connects to my bike is on a pivot, and when I'm braking, the trailer's going into me, that it engages brakes, drum brakes in both the trailer wheels to like help slow itself down.
That's
So
good.
yeah, it's a really wonderful kit, and it just comes with a hitch in the wheels and the corner pieces, and then you buy your own 1 inch aluminum tubing and you put it all together, and then whether you
Yeah.
use plywood or plastic
It's got
or
about
whatever, then you
six.
just build the walls.
It's got about 6 minutes left. I'm just gonna ask you. Throw a couple of questions to ask you. Okay, off your head.
So
What would you say? Just throw a question there. What would you say? What bikes would you say you would not recommend, like from retailers, like some of the retail chains? What would you not recommend?
the only bikes I would really not recommend people buy would be department store bikes,
Oh,
generally.
like Walmart and Canadian Tire.
Yeah, like it, or that if you're going to, and I wouldn't recommend outright buying them. They can be great economical bikes, but if you're going to buy one, either buy it in the box and then have a mechanic like myself or a shop put it together for you to make sure
Mhm.
it's well put together,
Yeah,
or buy it and then have a mechanic check it over, because the pricing, the payment structure they have for these, like, it's often teenagers putting those bikes together. At least the last I checked when I spoke with the company was, and that was, maybe 5, 6 years ago, was they're paying, teenagers $3 a bike to put the bike together, and so they're rushing to put 4 bikes together in an hour to make anything.
yeah.
It must have gone up a little bit these days, of course, but and so they're like often inexperienced young kids slapping these bikes together, and I've seen a lot of them at my customer's house that were just, the handlebars were loose, the threading of the bottom bracket was stripped out from the get-go because they threaded the bottom bracket in wrong, and then the whole bike was a write-off.
Wow.
um, so there's a lot of things I've seen wrong coming out of that third party company that is in charge of building those bikes again. Walmart.
Right. You know what the amount of money they spent on yeah, I'm surprised they haven't. They should just hire like
Increased over the
guys,
years, but
guys like yourself to
yeah.
put the bikes together. Like proper mechanics, like not just these teenagers. Yeah. I just started losing your sound there.
Go because they were interested in hiring me, but I told them unless they change this, because I just think the way that they're incentivizing speed is hurting people,
Yeah,
of those bikes being put together. So yeah, hopefully they've changed, but I don't know.
that's cool. So I just got about 3 minutes. Matteo, do you want to do anything else for your company or anything you want to add to your site or just let people know before I hang up here?
No, yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, the main takeaways are that, it's mobile bike repair, more economical than a shop in most cases. We
Yeah, it's
also
nice.
provide SOS flat or repair services, for if you're a commuter cyclist and you broke down on the way to work or whatever. On my appointment form has my cell phone number. You can always text SOS,
Okay, good.
and we'll try to give you same day service if you're lucky and one of our mechanics happens to be close. Um, that service is, it's normally $30 at a bike shop to get a flat repair. If it's the SOS service or going to you same day, it's typically double that. But if you need that expediency, we're there. We always offer rush service if you need something. If you're not a commuter cyclist, but you just want work done right away, you can pay an extra $50 to $150 depending on how many bikes, and we'll try to get you ahead of the lineup. Typically, we are available sooner than other bike shops. Like, not only do you not have to be without your bike, you can, if your bike's still rideable, you can keep it at home and ride it, and then you just show up and perfect it, which is a huge efficiency compared to a shop where you're having to leave it somewhere for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
You can keep it. But if you need, like, in the spring, we're often booked 2 to 4 weeks in advance, depending on how many mechanics I have available that season. But you can always pay extra money to have us see you sooner. And then, the defensive cycling workshops, that would be the main other thing that I recommend as a takeaway, is like, if you haven't ridden across the continent, if you don't ride 50 kilometers a day like I have, if you think you have less experience than I have, which for my age is a lot, then it's better to err on the side of caution and like brush up on some skills and come on a ride with me, because there might be either some tips and strategy that I can provide you, or some of that safety gear that I sell that might save your life.
Yeah.
So especially if you have a teenager or anyone in your life is new to urban commuting outside of yourself, then let me know and we can book that.
Great. Okay, so you got about 1 minute. So I was gonna say thanks, Matteo, for doing the show here. Actually, you gave me over knowledge. I had more knowledge now than ever for bikes. I didn't know half the stuff you're talking about. I go, oh my gosh, wow, very got that knowledge here to share. I love it. So I got your website on my web there, on your company, and I'll send you a copy of the video. You can use it whenever you want, and I'll take it from there. So anyways, thank you so much. Yeah, I know you're busy. Thanks for doing the show. I'm really impressed by all your knowledge. I got an education today. So it's cool.
Yeah, no, thanks, Philip. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
great. We'll do
Ride
another
safe.
show whenever
No
you
problem.
want. And hopefully they'll promote you. I'll promote your website there on the show on my site, and take it from there. So I'll keep in touch. And thanks. Yeah, if you have anything you want to promote in the future with your company, let me know, and we'll talk about it on another show, whatever.
Sweet. Sounds good. Thanks, Philip.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So have a good day, and I'll send you a copy of the video. Okay. Great. Thanks. Thanks
Sweet.
a lot, Matteo. Here, I'll give it in here.
Cheers.
Yeah. Have a good day.